Paul,
All right.
sounds like you're going to say good fit.
Yeah, that's a good fit.
Right?
You know what? I look at it and everybody say, well, Russ didn't fit with KD. He didn't fit with the Lakers. I thought he fit with the Clippers, though. But look at this. Russ is at a point in his career. I know he wants to win the championship. He's done everything that you could possibly do in the game of basketball. He's been an MVP. He's been to the finals. I mean, how many countless triple-double seasons? But look at this.
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5.
Yeah.
I look at him now at this age, and I'm like, you know, Denver is still a contender. As long as you got Joker, they're a contender. They lost something with KCP, yeah. They lost something with Brown the year before that and Jeff Green.
They did.
So I think he fills the void on a few things, and this is more than on the court. He gives them off-the-court leadership, you know, which I think KCP was kind of playing that role. But I also like, you know, I kind of look at him like a Jason Kidd role on Dallas. You remember how valuable Jason Kidd was when he played with Dirk Nowitzki when they won the 2000, I believe, 11 championship. Jason Kidd, he wasn't Jason Kidd at the time, but he was so valuable for them as far as leadership and just plays and just knowing, defending multiple positions like Russ can do. And I feel like this is a great fit. And you know what I would do? I would make him a starter. I think you could put him in as a starter like you did Jason Kidd, because now you could throw Jamal Murray at the 2 and say, Jamal, you know what? You could just go be the scorer you are because, you know, you got too much responsibility trying to play make, and then you negotiating between being when to assist and when to be a scorer. When I feel like Jamal Murray's a natural-born scorer. Now you got playmaking from Russ and Jokic. Russ can cut back door, slash, and do those things like we seen he do with the Clippers.
So you're talking about a starter for
Yeah, I like him as a starter.
Okay, like a 35 minutes starter?
Man, you can give about 28 to 30 minutes. Yep, I like that. Think about when Jay Kidd was about the same age, starting on a championship team. He wasn't Jay Kidd. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't going to wow you with his numbers, but he going to give you all the little intangibles, and I think Russ can be that now. He didn't turn out, he's not the shooter that Jay Kidd became, because Jay Kidd became a decent spot-up shooter.
He did.
Same thing with Rondo on the Lakers. Reminded me of that move when they won in 2020. So I like this move with Russ right there as a starter, with Jamal Murray at the 2, and I think they can still make some noise as a contender as long as Joker is still playing at an MVP level.
Yeah, you know, when you look at Russ's overall career, you go OKC young.
I mean, he got middle-aged at Oklahoma City.
Yeah, but I mean young when they got to the championship.
Oh.
Outside of that, the next best stop for him was the Clippers. That had some a team that can
buy
contend.
that. Well, yep.
Now you go into a foundation.
I don't know. Houston, was they a contender?
No, they was all Harden didn't want to beat it. It was all messed up.
Yeah.
And now you got a team that has a solid foundation. You're not taking him and putting him. You're not building a team. The team's already in play. You're just adding a piece to the team. So for those that think he goes in there and he becomes disruptive, and all of a sudden it's going to mess up their chemistry. Because I know that's what people first think about Russ. The first thing they say is, well, it didn't work with LeBron. It didn't work in Houston. It didn't work in Washington. And he wore out his welcome in OKC. Paul George had to get away from him. That's the way people are going to think about things. But those teams were never championship-caliber teams. This is a championship-caliber team because of Joker, because Murray. And they want him. There's a difference when somebody want you opposed to you being sent there. So I agree with Paul. I think he's going there to be a starter. I don't think he's going there to come off the bench. Even though they lose KCP and Reggie Jackson, and they lost Green and Brown 2 years ago, I get all that. But he's going there to be a starter because it allows Murray to go to somewhat of a natural position.
Yeah, I think
you still got Joker that can pass the ball everywhere. Russ can bring the ball up the court. He can set the offense. He's not a dribble, run the air out of the ball type guy like that. Not when he has players around him. So I think it's going to be all right for Denver. I really do.
So you think it takes them up a notch again?
I don't know if it takes them up a notch, but it doesn't. It didn't bring them. When KCP left, I thought it brought them down. But bringing Russ backs, I think it put them right back where they were, you know, because as long as you got Joker, and they went 7 games, remember, they went 7 games with Minnesota,
They had game
and it could have went
home.
it could have went either way, and then we end up with a possible matchup between Denver and Dallas, which, you know, it can go either way. When Joker's out there, he makes the players around him better.
And he's at a different place in his career now, Skip, from a mental standpoint, where he's not thinking I'm the triple-double Russ. He's been removed from that for several years now, so he understands where he's at in his career.
Intangibles guy. He's an intangibles guy. Dude, 5 or 6 assists, 5, 6 rebounds. Think about that. And he can get you about 10 points. That's solid for them.
So, Paul Pierce,
Talk to
usually I'm with you on just about every basketball opinion that you have, except for this one.
I knew you weren't going to be on this one.
I have never gotten Russell Westbrook from the start. And I'm from Oklahoma City, and when that team rose up in 2011, 2012, got to the finals, I just couldn't get my arm around Russ. KD, yeah, big fan from the start, from the days he was in Austin at Texas. James Harden, yeah, he was a lethal 6th man for that team in 2012. But Russ drove me crazier and crazier and crazier because right away I got into it with both of them, with KD and Russ, because Russ started taking more shots than Kevin Durant, which is easy to do because Kevin's the most efficient superstar scorer I have ever seen. Low shots, high points. He just gifted that way. But when Russ is just jacking up shots right and left, it was driving me crazy. Then it drove KD crazy that I was getting driven crazy on television, and here we went. But I have been anti-Russ from the start. I got nothing personal against him, but when you are a high-volume three-point shooter and you're around 30% for your career, it's hard to live with that. When you are the ultimate turnover machine, plus a poor shooter and plus a poor free throw shooter, it's hard to live with that. So when you do the Jason Kidd comparison, my mind boggles because Jason Kidd was one of the best passers we've ever seen. He's a, top 5 all-time passer? Is that fair to say?
But he wasn't Jason Kidd in Dallas. You didn't see him sprinting the break doing these.
No, I got that. You know, but he was not high turnover.
He was high IQ.
Was he?
I mean, one of the best.
High, which is why he has turned into a very good basketball coach. So the point is the point. To your point, you're exactly right. Ty Lue worked wonders with him. That was a sweet fit. That was the best fit he's ever had. That was the best coach he's ever had by far. A coach who worked with him as opposed to Darvin Ham, who just clashed with him from moment one, and it never worked. It never got off the ground from literally game one. With the Lakers, Darvin said, I need you to come off the bench. And to your point, the communication was not there because Darvin just couldn't connect with it.
That was bad. Skip, think about this. Like, and I love Patrick Beverly, but if I'm Westbrook and I got to come off the bench for Pat Beverly, we're going to be arguing every day.
Plus, Russ didn't like Pat because Pat...
I mean, come on, think about that.
Pat caused a knee injury.
Think about that. Like, if I got to come on as Russell Westbrook, and I love Pat Beverly, I love what he brings to the game, his leadership, all of that. But if I'm Russ Westbrook and I got to come off the bench for Pat Beverly, me and the coach are going to be arguing every day. Like, what is this? Like, he gets to Clippers, I come off the bench for James Harden, I can live with that a little better.
All right.
Because that's James Harden. You see what I'm saying?
You ain't got to tell me.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I can eat that a little better.
Look,
so I'm just like, no, I can't.
Here's, speaking of those two guys, they have a lot in common. Pat and Russ, to me, they both have that dog in them. But Russ's dog is a me dog as opposed to an us dog. To me, he's more of a solo act.
I think it used to be that way. Skip. I don't necessarily know that it's that way
Maybe
anymore.
Ty got the very best you could get.
Even when he was with the Lakers, like Paul is saying, you asking me, no matter what you may think about the decline in my ability as a player, you're asking me to take a back seat to somebody
who I know I'm still better than.
That's a hard one.
Just remember, just before the playoffs that year, Pat Bev is guarding Russ, and he's trying to call timeout with the ball under his arm, and he snakes in, and Russ tears his meniscus. And it was a bad tear. It was one that you couldn't just scope and fix because it took 2 operations to fix it. And the truth was, Russ has never been quite as explosive as he was before that knee injury. So he probably looks back on Pat Bev as taking a little out of his career.
And that may be true. Yeah. I'm out here with a wild guy.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you were saying all last year with the Clippers that he's a leader, you know, like a leader of the Clippers. And I'm like, Russell Westbrook is a leader? And yet I can't argue with the productivity because he played 23 minutes a game, which was about right. And he goes 11, 5, and 5.
That's
those
solid.
Are good numbers.
That's about as solid as you can get.
So you think about when he broke his hand or whatever he did to his hand, the Clippers went on a little skid there.
They did.
And
then when he came back,
he started popping again.
Okay.
Because it's more than his actual number, Skip. It's his on-the-court demeanor, in locker room, timeout. Like, he holds them accountable, which I think he can bring to Denver.
Okay. But the point is, the Clippers just said no to him, which shocked me. The Clippers.
Well, they're going in a different direction.
Yeah,
but he opted.
They said no to Paul George.
It's $4 million for Russell Westbrook. I get Paul George because now you're going to go up in the 50 range.
But you know, those numbers you just ran off, that's probably in the marketplace. That's probably a $15 to $20 million guy.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. He was a bargain for the Clippers. You don't think they could use him as a backup point guard?
Listen, I don't know what
and they opted for Chris Dunn.
They tried to go young.
Okay, Chris Dunn is now 30 years of age. He was once upon a time the 5th overall pick in the draft out of Providence in 2016. In his second year when he was with the Bulls, he averaged 13, 4, and 6. And then for Utah last year, he was 5, 3, and 4. And that's what...
So it sounds like they got worse.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, you're going to replace Russell Westbrook with Chris Dunn? Really?
Maybe Russ didn't want to be there.
Why? But he loves L.A. He's from L.A.
Yeah, he's from L.A. He loves L.A. He probably didn't want to be there.
Play more, probably look at
Maybe it was something with playing with Kawhi or James Harden or something.
Both L.A. guys?
Yeah, but I'm just saying maybe it didn't work out. It don't matter, you guys, L.A. guys. Maybe just the locker room didn't feel right to him. He just didn't. It had to be something because I'm like, damn, I'm at the end of my career pretty much. I might as well just stay home, lay it down for the last couple of years, come off the bench and just enjoy my family, enjoy my businesses and all of that. But you know what? I'd rather go to Denver or somewhere else for an opportunity to win a championship. So this is telling me maybe it could have been something in that locker room he wasn't feeling.
That's the only thing that he doesn't have is a championship. Who has a better chance to win one?
Oh.
The healthy Denvers,
no doubt.
Nuggets or the healthy Clippers?
Okay. Yet, I caution Joker, be careful what you wish for. And it makes me wonder, would Joker have called LeBron or AD to say what didn't work? You know, why didn't it work? I doubt it. I don't know if they have that kind of relationship. Would Joker have asked LeBron or AD, you know, around the warm-ups at the Team USA game?
I can't go based on the way somebody else feels about an individual. I got to go based on how I'm dealing with that person. Whether it's Joker, Murray, the coach, whoever, Porter Jr., whoever it is that are in contact communication with Westbrook, that's what's important. What LeBron is saying and what AD says and what Darvin that doesn't mean anything to me.
Okay.
What are you going to be like in our building?
Yeah, but just for the record, LeBron, I know for a fact, so did AD. They campaigned to go get Russ, and then after about half a year, they were campaigning to get rid of Russ. And it took a year and a half to get rid of him.
Well, they campaigned solidly to get rid of the coach, so...
They did. Okay, so think about this. For 4 out of 5 years, from 2017 through 2021, Russell Westbrook averaged a triple-double. 4 out of 5 years. It's impossible. I never thought I'd see one more since Oscar did it in '63, right? And he averages 26, 11, and 11 over those 4 seasons combined. 26, 11. It's just crazy numbers. Man. He also averaged 5 turnovers. And in 2 of those years, he led the NBA in turnovers because... this is just me. Russell Westbrook has the worst pair of hands of any point guard I've ever seen because I don't think he was ever a natural-born point guard. He hustles for the triple-doubles. You know, he works for it. He exerts for it. He fights for it. He out-scraps you for it, for loose rebounds. And with assists, he finally figured out after KD left him high and low and dry in Oklahoma City, he figured out, if I drive it and two come with me. All I got to do is just leave it on the floor for Steven Adams, and he can dunk it, and I get a 1. You know, I get in the assist column, I get a 1. And they start piling up if you do that enough. But when he tries to make passes, as we saw at the Lakers, it just gets wild. Balls are flying
Lakers thing
everywhere.
just didn't work.
Look at this, though. Look what you said, all these deficiencies that Russ has. He's not really a natural-born scorer. Would you say that? Like, I mean,
well, he's not a shooter.
He's not a shooter, but like, would you say just a natural scorer? But he's averaged 30. He's not a natural passer, but he's not. He's averaged 11 assists. Okay.
And by the way, he is a slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about that.
So what are you saying? I mean, is it his will? Is he just one of the greatest athletes we've ever seen?
He's got that going for sure.
Like, you know, but what is it?
His will has never lifted the team. He can lift himself without lifting the team. Because I'm looking at those.
No,
teams.
His will lifted that series when they played. Was it the Clippers? That was all his will versus Chris Paul. Which you remember that series when OKC beat the Clippers?
Okay, OKC beat, but
that matchup. It was a matchup versus them, and I remember
when Chris was in.
Was he
in OKC? And are you talking about when Russ went to James?
Russ was in OKC.
Okay.
And Chris Paul was with the Clippers.
Oh, Chris.
You got to go back to that series.
Okay.
That was one of the career-defining series.
Okay,
but it's hard though, Skip, to lift up the Washington Wizards.
It was.
It's hard to lift up
the Wizards.
Houston, where two dudes didn't even want to be there.
Yeah.
You know, James didn't want to be there. Brook didn't want to be there.
Yeah. So I'm looking at his teams, 2017, 18, 19. These are Oklahoma City. They go 47, 35, 48, 34, 40.
Like the year after
33.
KD left, he uplifted that team because I didn't think that team was even a playoff.
It was all by itself.
Yeah, I didn't even think that was a playoff. That was his MVP year. I didn't even think that team was a playoff team.
Okay, so help me out. What slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famer bounced to 6 teams? It just doesn't happen. I know Shaq at the end of his career bounced a little bit.
Shaq was chilling, though.
Yeah, he was definitely chilling.
Okay,
yeah.
It's like Chris Paul.
How far?
New Orleans, Clippers, Phoenix, Golden State, Spurs. That's 5.
Close.
Oh, did you say OKC?
Okay, so that's 6.
Yeah, they got swapped to OKC.
That's 6.
They had
Slam dunk Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I don't know if that
16.
counted. He was actually with the same team, but they moved cities, right?
No,
No.
he went to OKC with Shea Gilgeous a couple years ago.
Remember?
That was 2 years ago.
Within 2 years ago.
Yeah, when he had him cooking.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this is what I know for sure, that Kevin Durant decided I just can't win with him as my point guard. I know that for a fact. So then Paul George is there briefly and decides I'd much rather be with Kawhi. So he left Russ, you know, and you guys say, well, you got to discount that. But then he goes to James, and you said James just didn't want to be there. But James seemed pretty happy with Russ to start with.
No, but remember, he didn't want to. He didn't even sign his extension for the $150 million before going. He just didn't want to be, for whatever weird reason, he didn't want to be at Houston.
Okay. Then he goes Bradley Beal, and it just doesn't work. And you can say, well, they just weren't good enough. And I'll give you that. But then...
Is Bradley Beal even healthy?
Nope.
Well, he hasn't been healthy much. So then the shock to me is he comes to the Clippers. Well, we do Lakers first, and then LeBron and AD say no. After they say yes, then they say no. But they say no to a lot of things.
When you say it hasn't worked out, what do you mean? Because I thought Houston was legit. I thought OKC was legit with... Yeah, they lost to Utah in the first round. They probably shouldn't have lost that. With Paul George, but you forget Paul George didn't step up either, and Russ did. And Russ stepped up.
He did step up.
You know what I'm saying? So what is it? I don't think he's getting enough credit of being on teams that you feel like should have did something.
Okay.
Well, like I said, he first of all, he hasn't been on any good teams. Really, honestly, think about it. What teams have he been on that was good other than his OKC team?
The first one was really
they went to the championship.
They did.
All them other teams he bounced into, them teams wasn't good.
Yeah.
And then do you blame Russ for them not getting past Golden State after being up 3-1? Is that on him or KD? Who's it on that? You feel me? So, you know, he's never been on a team.
And to answer your question before you go pay these bills, Skip, why would he be moved to 6 different teams or whatever? Because he has value. and coaches see that, and front office people see it. Because if you didn't have the value, you'd be talking about going overseas to play.
Yep.
That's the reality of it.
But a first ballot Hall of Famer is now playing for $3.3 million in Denver. And it's a great opportunity for him, but they're doing it because he's really cheap, right?
Joking and made.
It's a
Lord knows how much money.
And he could be a starter again. Watch, mark my words, he's going to be starting for Denver.
Okay. And mark my words, it won't work.
What's working? What does it mean work? They got to win it all?
They'll just decide we can't win with him as our primary decision maker.
So, so you're saying you're going on record right now saying they're going to trade him in the middle of the season?
No, because he'll be untradeable. By then.
No.
Well, he's going to be 36 years old in year 17. I mean, at some point, in fact, when the Clippers took him, it felt like he was about done, like nobody wanted him.
They rejuvenated him.
Yeah. And yet, I still can't believe the Clippers gave up on him. That was a home, a literal
I don't know
home.
if they gave up on him, but I don't know the story, Skip.
I know, but well, they moved him.
Well, they didn't,
for nothing.
They didn't sign Paul George either, so I'm not sure what's going on in Clipperland.
Okay, so what are you saying? They've just given up, or they're trying to lose, or what?
No, they're not trying to lose, but they just
don't know what they're doing. Let's say that.
They looking at their pockets right now.
Really?
I don't know.
That's all I can come up with. The owner with the deepest pockets is looking at their pockets as they go into a new arena?
Those are usually the shrewdest businessmen,
Really?
the ones with the deepest pockets.
Okay, interesting.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.